Yes, we have two kings with the same name, Joash. All right. So we'll start off with 2 Kings, chapter 12. This will be in Judah, the Joash that's reigning in Judah. Hazael, king of Syria, invades Judah, and Joash sends him tribute money. That's bad news. He's paying him off. He's decided, okay, maybe I can give this guy some trinkets, and he'll like that better than coming in and slaughtering everybody. So here he is. This will be 2 Kings 12, verse 17. This is the south, Judah. Judah is in the south. 2 Kings 12, verse 17. Then Hazael, king of Syria, went up and fought against Gath and took it. And Hazael set his face to go up against Jerusalem. And Joash, king of Judah, took all the hallowed things that Jehoshaphat and Joram and Hazael, his fathers, kings of Judah, had dedicated, in his own hallowed things, and all the gold that was found in the treasures of the house of the Lord, and in the house, and sent it to Hazael, king of Syria, and he went away from Jerusalem. So that worked. He sent him some tribute money, and that made him leave. You find the same account is in 2 Chronicles 24, and I'm just going to pick up the end of it, but the account is verse 23 to 24. In verse 24 he says, "For the army of the Syrians came up with a small company of men, and the Lord delivered a very great host into their hand, because they had forsaken the Lord God of their fathers. So they executed judgment against Joash." The reason for their defeat is simply because they forsook God. So God engineered circumstances so that they would be defeated. You got to watch it. God doesn't play what we consider fair. He'll use your enemy against you, and it's all on purpose. He's deciding this needs correcting, this is the way I'm going to do it. Doesn't matter if you give trinkets away, doesn't matter what you do, how you try to engineer things, he'll get the job done. Now, he could have taken care of business by simply turning to God at any point. And then God would have been on his side instead of against him, but he didn't. Okay, he's slain by his servants. That'll be in chapter 12, verse 20. Chapter 12, verse 20. This is Joash, king in the south, in the kingdom of Judah. Chapter 12, verse 20 and 21. "And his servants arose and made a conspiracy, and slew Joash in the house of Milo, which goeth down to Silla. For Josachar the son of Shimei, Jehozabad the son of Shomer, his servant, smote him, and he died. And they buried him with his fathers in the city of David, and Amasa his son reigned in his stead." Look at the account in 2 Chronicles. It gives us a couple more details. 2 Chronicles 24, verse 25. Second Chronicles 24, verse 25. "And when they were departed from him, for they left him in great distress, his own servants conspired against him for the blood of the sons of Jehoiada the priest." Remember that story? Mm-hmm. Okay, so now it's coming back to haunt him.
Does your book say distress?
Disease? Diseases.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That
And slew him.
was stressing me out.
Okay, verse 26. "And these are they that conspired against him." So there's a whole accounting, and he's actually taken down names. These names are going to come in handy, because as we'll see, these guys are going to get their due. It started a snowball effect. He got rid of Jehoiada and his kin, and he should not have. Not Jehoiada, but his sons. Then he gets slain himself because his servants are going to do it, because they're paying back for what he did to Jehoiada's sons. Now these guys, you'll see before the night's over, these guys are going to get killed for what they've just done. It's a snowball effect. Sin just multiplies. It rolls downhill faster than you can catch it, and it builds a bigger snowball than you can imagine. In 2 Kings 12, verse 19, we see the closing remarks on his life. He says, 2 Kings 12, verse 19, the rest of the acts of Joash and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah? No spectacular addendums on his life. That's too bad. The end of somebody's life, you'd like to have something good said about them. Not just, you can read about him somewhere. Go look up the Chronicles of that guy. It probably will tell you something about him. He was not that impressive. The same account is given in 2 Chronicles 24:27. Basically says the very same thing. I'm not going to read it. Meanwhile, in the north, Joash in the north, he comes to the throne in 798 to 782 BC. That's going to be his reign. He reigns for 16 years in Israel, the northern territory. Joash, the son of Jehoahaz, begins to reign in the 37th year of Joash of the south. Both north and south get the same named king. Not the same king, but each king has the same name for 2 to 3 years. You find that in 2 Kings 13, verse 10. 2 Kings 13:10. In the 37th year of Joash, king of Judah, began Joash, the son of Jehoahaz, to reign over Israel in Samaria, and reigned 16 years. Okay, so he's going to be a decent reigning king. Not a real long life, but decent. It's better than some of them we've seen that are just in the days. But what's he going to do? How do we sum up his life? Just like 90% of everybody up north, he does evil. Verse 11. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, and departed not from the sins of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin, but walked therein. Okay, so he's going down the standard party line of the north. Let's just do whatever is securing our kingdom. For them, securing the kingdom is the sins of Jeroboam. We'll worship in these 2 houses of worship that we've made ourselves, and we'll use these golden calves that people love to worship. That way nobody's going to run down to Jerusalem the way God set it up. The way God set it up is 3 times in the year, all the males are to appear before him in Jerusalem. Well, they can't have that because then somebody might start switching their political viewpoint. So we'll keep them away from that, and we'll put up a false religion. And that's the sins that haunt them. In Israel, the other thing that happens with this guy is during this time we have Elisha up north. He's up there doing his stuff in the north. He's not in the south. Elisha prophesies deliverance from Syria. Now this is a good thing, and there's no reason God does it other than God feels like doing it. Israel's been acting evil. They've been wicked, but God's still going to deliver them. He's going to tell us why in a minute. This will be in 2 Kings 13, verse 14. Now Elisha was fallen sick of the sickness whereof he died. And Joash, the king of Israel, came down unto him, and wept over his face, and said, O my father, the chariots of Israel and the horsemen thereof. And Elisha said unto him, Take bow and arrows. And he took unto him bow and arrows. And he said unto the king of Israel, Put thine hand upon the bow. And he put his hand upon it, and Elisha put his hand upon the king's hands. So this is standard thing for a prophet, is they do all of these weird things, but it has a meaning. And that's a lot of time the Bible's the same way. You get to reading it and you'll think, man, none of this is making any sense, and what's he talking about? You got to stay with it. You stay with it, and by the end, boom, there's what it means. Verse 17. And he said, Open the window eastward. And he opened it. Now, I'm just going to pause for a second to show you the direction. You see what's going on. We're shooting a bow and arrow. That's not happy times and friendly times. Okay, he's shooting artillery, and the direction he's shooting it is to the east. So that's where his enemy is going to come from, east. Then Elisha said, shoot, and he shot. He said, take the arrows of the Lord's deliverance and the arrow of deliverance from Syria. For thou shalt smite the Syrians in Aphek till thou hast consumed them. Now, he says, till thou hast consumed them. But that's conditioned on the fulfillment of the next step. Verse 18. And he said, take the arrows, and he took them. And he said unto the king of Israel, smite upon the ground. And he smote thrice and stayed. So he hit the ground 3 times. And that's not good. And the man of God was wroth with him and said, thou shouldest have smitten 5 or 6 times. Then hadst thou smitten Syria till thou hadst consumed them. You know, the thing he had just promised it. Whereas now thou shalt smite Syria but thrice. He wasn't wholehearted in it. He was just going through some motions. The thing that he did the first time that was right had Elisha's hand on it. Elisha was making sure he was doing it. When it was his turn to do something on his own, he's just going through the motions because some old man told him to do it. And he says, okay, that's going to come back to haunt you. And it does. Now, how many times did he tell him he should have done it? He should have done it 5 or 6 times. It would have really paid off if these guys knew the numbering system of the Bible. And they should have. I would imagine they did. 5's the number of death. Okay, you want 5. 6 is the number of man. You want to kill man 5 or 6 times. If you're going after this enemy, the key number would have been 5 or 6. He went with 3. What's 3? That's Trinity. That's godly. No, they're not godly. Okay, Elisha dies and the Moabites invade Israel. That'll be in verse 20, the next verse. And Elisha died and they buried him. And the bands of the Moabites invaded the land at the coming in the year. At the coming in of the year. So in the new year, here comes enemies. It didn't take long, did it? As soon as the man of God was dead, the enemy showed up. And now he doesn't have somebody he can go to for guidance. Okay, meantime, down south in Judah, we have a new king. Remember our last one died. So the new king is Amasa. He reigns for 29 years. His approximate reign is 796 to 767 BC. Amaziah, Amaziah. He begins to reign in the 2nd year of Joash and reigns for 29 years. That's 2 Kings 14, verse 1 and 2. In the 2nd year of Joash, son of Jehoahaz, king of Israel, reigned Amasa, the son of Joash, king of Judah. Joash. He was 25 years old when he began to reign. He reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was that woman, Jehoiadan of Jerusalem. Find the same accounts in 2 Chronicles 25:1. I'm not going to read it. It says the very same thing. This shows you we're covering 4 books at one time. So when we're done with the Kings, we'll have completed all the way up to 2 Chronicles. He does right in the sight of the Lord to a point. And that's where most Christians are. We do right to a point, but not sell out. It's rare to find a Christian who will sell out 100% for God. We'll sell out on Sunday, but then by Monday we've got a different thing we want to sell for. He says here in 2 Kings 14. 2 Kings 14, verse 3. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord. And it'd be good if the verse ended there, but it doesn't. Yet not like David his father. He did according to all things as Joash his father did. Howbeit, the high places were not taken away as yet. The people did sacrifice and burn incense in the high places. That's bad news. They're sacrificing and burning incense in these high places. That's a religious worship that's going on right there under his nose, and it's the very same thing that's going on in the country just north of him, in Israel proper. Same thing happens in 2 Chronicles 25, verse 2. Same account. He gives us a little different wording. 2 Chronicles 25, 2. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, but not with a perfect heart. That is, he didn't sell his heart 100% for God. He did it with reservation. So he timidly did it. Well, okay, I'll do this if it's going to be the lucky charm, or I'll do it, if it's going to be good for me. And it doesn't work that way. He says over there in, I believe it's Hebrews, he says, if you're going to come to God, you got to believe that he is, and that he's a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So you've got to, from the beginning, set your heart 100%. He's my last resort, only hope. And until you've done that, you've not done 100% with a perfect heart. Most people get saved with 100% perfect heart, but they don't serve with a perfect heart. Okay, so where are we now? Let's go to Israel in the north. Israel, the northern territory. This is Joash in Israel, a man who's buried in the sepulcher of Elisha revives. This is a wild thing. In 2 Kings 13:21, we saw Elisha die, and here's obviously what's happened after that. It says, and it came to pass as they were burying a man that, behold, they spied a band of men. They cast the man into the sepulchre of Elisha. And when the man was let down and touched the bones of Elisha, he revived and stood up on his feet. That's some power. Dead bones of Elisha are sitting there, and they're out there burying a man, and here comes a band of probably robbers or something coming through. And so to shorten up the burying process, they just throw this dead body into Elisha's tomb, and as soon as it touches the bones of Elisha, it revives. Hey boys, y'all need some help digging something? Now that's a picture of something. That's a picture of Israel. Israel, you'll find it again in Ezekiel. Israel as a nation is going to come back to life from dead bones. And that's going to happen after the church is gone, when God turns back his focus to Israel as a nation. Joash defeats Ben-Hadad, the Syrian, 3 times, just like Elisha has prophesied. 2 Kings 13, verse 23. 2 Kings 13, 23. And the Lord was gracious unto them, and had compassion on them, and had respect unto them, because of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and would not destroy them, neither cast them from his presence as yet. That's the reason that he's doing them good. He said right there, the reason I'm doing them good is not because they've deserved it, because they haven't. He said, I made a covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob way back. Because of that covenant, I'm going to have pity, even though they didn't do anything for it. Sometimes we get good from God when we don't deserve it. Amen. You know why? Because somebody does deserve it, Jesus Christ. And when he looks down, he's seeing Jesus Christ, and he's always pleased with him. He's really doing good to Jesus Christ. We're just getting the benefit. So we got to be careful. They ended up, see the end of that verse? He said, neither cast them from his presence as yet. That's a big warning sign. Slow it down. Not yet, but it could come, and it does. Verse 24. So Hazael, king of Syria, died, and Ben-Hadad, his son, reigned in his stead. And Joash, the son of Jehoahaz, took again out of the hand of Ben-Hadad, the son of Hazael, the cities which he had taken out of the hand of Jehoahaz, his father, by war. 3 times did Joash beat him, and recovered the cities of Israel. 3 times, just like how many times he smote the ground. And 3 times ain't enough. For us, there's not a number that works. You can't do 25 good things, and then no longer you have trouble with the devil. No, sir, he's going to fight you the rest of your life. So you got to be ready for warfare. Amen. Back down in the south, we have Amaziah in Judah. He kills his father's murderers, and that's a good, he's repaying in kind, and he's got the right to do it. That'll be 2 Kings 14, verse 5 and 6. And it came to pass, as soon as the kingdom was confirmed in his hand, that he slew his servants which had slain the king his father. Remember all those servants? We read their names. Or did we? I may have skipped them. But it listed all of their names. So he's got a tally of it. They're written down in a book somewhere. Because Kings and Chronicles is chronicled from other sources that are written material. So the king has access to that. And he says, pull those books out. Let me see who killed my dad. Okay, I'm going to go take care of business. And he does, verse 6. But the children of the murderers he slew not, according unto that which is written in the book of the law of Moses, wherein the Lord commanded, saying, the father shall not be put to death for the children, nor the children be put to death for the fathers, but every man shall be put to death for his own sins. That was in the men were listed in 2 Chronicles 24:26. I'm not going to read it again, but that's where you found the list of names. And then the same account is in 2 Chronicles 25:3 and 4. I'm not going to read it. It says the same thing. So in the north, we have Joash in Israel, and he's going to leave the throne. Finally, we're done with him. Now we can get to kings that have separate names. Maybe we can keep them straight. The closing remarks on his life are in 2 Kings 13, verse 12 to 13. And the rest of the acts of Joash and all that he did and his might wherein he fought against Amaziah, the king of Judah, are they not written in the books of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Joash slept with his fathers, and Jeroboam sat upon his throne, and Joash was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel. Now, who's running the throne now, or ruling on the throne now, is Jeroboam. It's a little bit tricky. It's not the same two names. The king, you'll have a different name in the north and a different in the south. However, we've already seen this name, Jeroboam. Who was he? Remember him? Who was Jeroboam? Anybody remember?
The servant that took over?
Where?
In the north.
In the north.
Yeah, he was the servant.
Jeroboam in the north, Rehoboam in the south. Those were the first two kings that show up after Solomon. This is Jeroboam, and it's normally referred to as Jeroboam the second. Just to keep it straight in everybody's mind. You'll see this king's name listed as Jeroboam and then 2 Roman numerals after it, the second. Because he is the second Jeroboam we see. All right, same thing happened. You see the very same account in 2 Kings 14, 15 to 16. Now the rest of the acts of Joash and all that he did, and his might, how he fought with Amaziah king of Judah, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? And Joash slept with his father and was buried in Samaria and with the kings of Israel. And Jeroboam, his son, reigned in his stead. Okay, that's the other Jeroboam's father is who? Good one. We don't know his father's name. It does list his name, but it's a foreign name. He's the guy that was the bookkeeper for Solomon when Solomon was alive, and he was keeping the books, and that's when the prophet shows up and rips the garment into 12 pieces. Said, I'm going to give 10 to you, and 2 are going to go over here. That's that Jeroboam. So you've got to keep these 2 Jeroboams straight in your mind as you go through it. It should be fairly simple because we're so far removed the one from the other when you're reading. Okay, down south, Amaziah is still on the throne. He strengthens the army, and then he hires an army from Israel. How smart is that? Not very smart. Think about this. Where are these? Yeah, where are the guy's brain? Okay, there's war between the North and the South. And there has been, and there's going to continue to be. So he says, I tell you what we need to do. We need to get a strong army. And he does. 100,000 men. They get the army built up. But he said, that's still not enough. I think what we need to do is we need to cross the line, go to the enemy's side, and see if any of those boys want to come fight with us. For us. And he does. 2 Chronicles chapter 25, verse 5. 2 Chronicles 25, verse 5. Moreover, Amaziah gathered Judah together and made them captains. And then he goes through that whole list. Down there you'll find, and he numbered them from 20 years old and above. That's how old you could be to go to war. And it wasn't 18 to get in, it was 20. And found them 300,000 choice men, not 100,000, 300. 300,000 choice men able to go forth to war that could handle spear and shield. Verse 6. He hired also 100,000 mighty men of valor out of Israel for 100 talents of silver. He says, look guys, if y'all come fight for me, you can do it for money. I'll pay every man that'll come fight for me a talent of silver. And that's what he does. Verse 7. But there came a man of God to him. That was a bad but there. But there came a man of God to him, saying, O king, let not the army of Israel go with thee, for the Lord's not with Israel. Well, that makes sense. If God's not with an army, he's against an army. So you need to line up on the right side. To wit, with all the children of Ephraim. So that's who he got his men out of. They came from the tribe of Ephraim. Verse 8. But if thou wilt go, do it. Be strong for the battle. God shall make thee fall before the enemy, for God hath power to help and to cast down. And Amaziah said unto the man of God, But what shall we do for the 100 talents which I have given to the army of Israel? Real practical there. You've got a choice, buddy. You can die, or you can let those people go back. But I paid them. Okay, go die. What's it to me? And then verse 10. And Amaziah separated them to wit the army that was come out of Ephraim to go home again. Wherefore their anger was greatly kindled against Judah, and they returned home in great anger. I guess they would be mad. Now, they did get the money. They shouldn't have been mad. These boys weren't just there to collect money for fighting. They were there to collect blood. They wanted to fight, like we were talking about earlier. It was about the warfare. They were blood hungry. Yeah. And when they were told, hey, you get a payday, but don't even clock in, just going back home, they didn't say thank you. They were mad. And we're going to find they're going to go ahead and get some blood anyway on the way out. And they do. Okay, so Amasa defeats Edom. That'll be chapter 14, verse 7. 2 Kings 14, verse 7. Were we in Chronicles? So, yeah, we were. 2 Kings 14, verse 7. No, we're in the south. This is Judah. Amasa. He slew of Edom in the valley of Salt 10,000, and took Selah by war, and called the name of it, that thing right there, unto this day, Jokthelim. Jokthel, that's right. Same things in 2 Chronicles 25, 11, and 12. It doesn't give you much more details than what we just read, so I'm not going to read it again. Meantime, in the north, under Jeroboam II, he's going to come to the throne in the north, and he's going to get to reign 41 years, so he's there for a while. He reigns from 793 BC to 753 BC. Jeroboam the second. He begins to reign in the 15th year of Amasa, and that'll be in 2 Kings 14, verse 23. In the 15th year of Amasa, son of Joash, king of Judah, Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel, began to reign in Samaria, and reigned 41 years. You have to remember this when you're going through the Kings and the Chronicles. The way they're dividing this up, you'll normally just see the word Judah or the word Israel and think Israel as the whole territory, and that's not what he's talking about. In the 1st and 2nd Kings and 1st and 2nd Chronicles, when they say Judah, they mean the south. When they say Israel, they don't mean all of it, they just mean the north, the northern 10 tribes. And of course, he's going to do what all of them do up north. Verse 24. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. He's going to follow suit. Okay, everybody's done it this way before. Why would I change anything? If he would just read the history, he would know why. They've all died horrible deaths. It's not turned out real peaceful a life for them. In the south, Amasa, in Judah, the army of Israel spoils the cities of Judah as they return. He hired these guys to fight. Then he told them, never mind, don't fight. I'll pay you anyway. Well, they are mad. They're going to get some blood. There's an old thing. Don't point a gun at something you're not going to shoot. And the old adage before that was this: don't draw a sword out of the saber if you don't draw blood. So in the old custom was, if you were going to draw your sword out of the saber but not draw blood, you put your hand on it, so you cut your hand coming out of the sword, and that justifies you taking it out of the saber. Here it is, 2 Chronicles 25:13. Second Chronicles 25:13. But the soldiers of the army which Amaziah sent back, I keep calling him Amaziah, it's Amaziah, sent back, that they should not go with him to battle, fell upon the cities of Judah, from Samaria even to Beth-horon, and smote 3,000 of them, and took much spoil. They're mad. Somebody's going to die. If you're not going to let us fight for you, we're going to fight with you. He still has not quite gotten the message, because he's decided now, maybe I should be an idolater. We look at these things and we think, how could they be so stupid? And I'm sure in the tribulation, when they look back and people are telling tales about our lives, they'll say the same thing. How could they be so stupid? We think the same thing when you see these big public figures who fall. We think the same thing. How could they be so stupid? When you see the politicians fall, you think, how could they be so stupid? Well, let's just wake up. Humans are stupid. If you're not in this book and trying to follow God all the time with a perfect heart, you're going to fall. Just face it. 2 Chronicles 25. 2 Chronicles 25, verse 14. Now it came to pass after that Amaziah was come from the slaughter of the Edomites, that he brought the goods of the children of Seir, and set them up the gods of the children of Seir. What in the world would he want to bring those for? He just killed an army and said, hey, what's their good luck charm? Well, it didn't work. And set them up to be his gods, and bowed down himself before them, and burned incense unto them. Wherefore the anger of the Lord was kindled against Amaziah. And he sent unto him a prophet, which said unto him, why hast thou sought after the gods of the people, which could not deliver their own people out of thine hand? Do you want to be a loser just like the losers you just killed? Well, that's the path you're taking. Verse 16. And it came to pass, as he talked with him, that the king said unto him, Art thou made of the king's counsel? He said, Did you just get a job promotion that I wasn't aware of? Did somebody put you in as, chief of the staff here? I don't think so. Forbear. Just shut up. Keep your mouth shut. Your opinions can be your own. Why shouldest thou be smitten? Then the prophet forbare and said, I know that God hath determined to destroy thee, because thou hast done this, and hast not hearkened unto my counsel. That's what happens when you don't hearken to God's counsel. He determines to destroy you. He's got rules in place. They're already set. The simple one that we refer to all the time, that everybody understands, is gravity. It's a rule God's put in place. Why? Because he said something real simple. He says about all these things that he's made. Earth is the only thing he says he's made that he's given to the sons of men. So what does man want to do? We want to go to outer space. He didn't say he's given that to us. He said earth. There's a rule he put in place. And you know it, gravity. So, what do they do at the Tower of Babel? Genesis chapter 11. Let's get up higher. Let's go get something that's, we've already seen earth. Let's go see something else. Man always tries to revoke God's laws, and they can't do it. They're there, and they work. Meantime, in the north, 2 Kings 14. 2 Kings 14. We understand Jonah's prophecy to the Gentiles. That's the book of Jonah. But here's Jonah talking to Israel in the north. 2 Kings 14:25. He restored the coast of Israel from the entering of Hamath unto the sea of the plain, according to the word of the Lord God of Israel, which he spake by the hand of his servant Jonah, the son of Amittai, the prophet, which was at Gath-hepher. That's the same Jonah that the book's all written about. Verse 26. For the Lord saw the affliction of Israel, that it was very bitter, for there was not any shut up, nor any left, nor any helper for Israel. God's fair. Now, he might have a little different view of fair than we do, because he sees a much bigger picture than we do. Remember, that's what got Israel out of Egypt, was he said, I've seen the affliction. God is moved by our feelings of infirmity, our affliction. There it is right there. He says, I'm looking down at Israel, this northern territory that's nothing but wicked, and I'm starting to feel sorry for him. He's full of pity, even to wicked people. Verse 27. And the Lord said not that he would blot out the name of Israel under heaven, but he saved them by the hand of Jeroboam the son of Joash. Okay, so he's going to save them. Eventually this guy's going to die. That'll be 2 Kings 14:28. Now the rest of the acts of Jeroboam and all that he did, and his might, how he warred, and how he recovered Damascus and Hamath, which belonged to Judah. Okay, Damascus. You see that? People ignore that. But Israel's territory is not from Dan to Beersheba. That's the Balfour Declaration. It says it's from Dan, and it should be right up here somewhere. From Dan to Beersheba, which will be right down here. But that's not the borders. Solomon gets the border. David gets the border. It's always up here somewhere. Damascus, right here. That's the northern border. Balfour Declaration got it wrong. Israel should have been a huge chunk. And now they've even got them down to a little bitty, square box. But that's the land he's recovering. And Hamath, which belonged to Judah for Israel. Are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel? And Jeroboam slept with his fathers, even with the kings of Israel. And who's this? Zechariah, his son, reigned in his stead. And we'll learn about him next week. I think I'm not going to go into him next. But he gets a son to reign too. And we're dwindling down now. soon this northern territory is going to be no more. And then it'll be up to the south. And the south follows suit with the north. They see the wickedness of their brothers, and we've already seen them. We just saw the king in the south say, hey, let me follow some other gods. And that's typical. And they'll go into apostasy soon.